Alarms and buzzes, voices cut the silence. Truth ain't taking pauses. We the people Wednesday, speak loud, speak clear. Screech owls calling, Red's got your ear.
We the People Wednesday will begin in just a few short minutes, folks. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you still have time to jump over to the VIP Backstage Lounge at rippandrabbithole.com. If you are listening on demand, go ahead and fast forward to about the 3-minute mark and you will jump into tonight's live show. Stay tuned, folks. Show starts soon.
Late night highway, headlights chasing dreams. The rip on rabbit hole ain't as crazy as it seems. Ain't no polished lines, just hearts of fire. We the people Wednesday, speak loud, speak clear. Screech owls calling, Red's got your.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Late night highway, headlights chasing dreams. The rip on rabbit hole ain't as crazy as it seems. Ain't no polished lines, just hearts of fire. We the people Wednesday, shout what's real. Screech owls watching, Red's got the wheel. Eyes wave in the static air, freedom's crackling everywhere. Every voice matters, every voice dares.
Good evening and welcome to We the People Wednesday, as the volume on the music is really quiet right now. It is Wednesday, May 6th, 2026. I am Screech Owl Scott,
And I'm Red.
and we want to thank you, our co-hosts, for joining us right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio, where your voice will be heard around the world as we discuss hot topics, recent news, and new developments. If you've dialed up We the People Wednesday, congratulations, you can now declare yourself one of the We the People people. If you are listening on Rumble or joining us on YouTube and you want to be a part of the conversation, jump on over to rippandrabbithole.com. I think the link is in the chat over
Yes,
in
it
those
is.
platforms. Click on that link. It's going to bring you right into the VIP Backstage Lounge, which is really the best place to participate in the show. But if you're listening on those, please give a thumbs up to We the People Wednesday and hit that subscribe button so that you'll receive notifications each and every time we go live. If you come to the backstage, it's going to ask you to put in a name, allow some permissives on your microphone, join the fun. You can join without putting in an email
Or
or a
password,
password, just like my vote.
just like my vote.
The Backstage Lounge is free and always will be. It's a great place to meet new friends and talk about anything that you want to. And we can speak from experience when we say that you will often find We the People deep into the early AM hours. That is rippandrabbithole.com. RIPPONRABBITHOLE.com. There are just a very few simple rules. Please remain respectful to others at all times. Raise your hand if there's something you want to say, but most of all, have fun, because this is a show for We the People. Well, Red, we're back on the air. We were
Yeah,
off
did
last.
you get a little rusty there, being off a week?
I think so. So we were
Just
we were
kidding.
off last week.
Yes.
We had some family obligations that we had to tend to.
And I completely forgot what day it was, to be honest.
Well, you forgot. I didn't.
Well, yeah, I did forget.
But in any event, we're back on the air tonight. Family obligations are all taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Good to be back.
It is.
We had some nice weather today. We got a
It,
surprise visit from some friends.
oh, yeah.
So some friends drove, folks, they drove what, about 45 miles?
I'm not sure,
And,
whatever it
and
is
they
from
said,
Green Bay down
they
to.
they texted when they were just outside our house, and they said, a little bird told us that you guys needed a hug. So they drove over to give us a hug. So we stood out and talked to two very dear friends, and we
Yep.
got our hugs, and we felt better.
And that totally brightened my day, I tell you.
And I'm not sure who the little bird was who told
Oh,
them.
I know who the little bird was.
I know too.
And I see him back here. So thank you for that. We really needed it.
So anyway, we got our fix of friends and hugs today, and that brightened our day a little bit. But Red, it's good to be back on the air.
It is. It feels different because I'm not in front of a camera.
Yeah, that's your other gig.
I know, that's my other gig, but it just feels weird. And it feels a lot better having a co-host.
Red's other gig, she has to put her that, and that's why I don't participate as much with that one, because I've got a face for radio.
Oh, please.
And
You do
but
not.
no, you're not on. You don't have your face on in front of the camera tonight, so
No, thankfully.
thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully.
So Red,
I
tonight,
saw Scott with a little bird, someone says.
who said that?
Um,
Oh,
I don't know. WW11. I'm not sure who that is.
the bird.
Yeah, I know what bird they're talking about.
Okay.
I
think
just-
that might be Mr. Wetzel.
I'm going to guess it's Wetzel.
So, folks, for you listening, I posted a video this week on social media. We went into a pet supply store
Down
and,
in Saukville
down in
/
Saukville.
Port Washington area.
and they had a cockatoo who was not in the cage. Donald was her name.
Weird
And
name for a girl, but
She was 28 years old, and she was a beautiful bird and very friendly. And she perched on I reached my hand out, and she got on my arm.
and wasn't going to
She
stop.
would not
What-
get off my
no.
arm. I had to literally.
They had to go get peanuts.
They had
To
to get
give her.
peanuts to.
And even then, she didn't want to let go.
No,
But the look on her face when you said something about, well, do I have to bring you home? We do have dogs. She slowly turned her head and looked at him like, are you nuts? It was hilarious.
but she was a beautiful bird, and that's the remark in the chat was in reference to Donna, who was clinging to my arm. Tonight I wanted to talk, Red, a little bit, because I see some things happening in our world that concern me a little bit. And we want to talk about, at what point does government authority cross a line into tyranny, and who decides where that line is. It's hard to say, because it's been happening, and we can look all the way back to the Boston Tea Party,
Right.
Red, when citizens said enough of this taxation without representation, and they started dumping tea into the Boston Harbor.
Yeah, I wasn't around then.
Well,
So I don't remember that
wasn't-
one.
I wasn't either, but I did learn that in school. Red, you probably did too. You just
I probably did, but I was not
I'm
very
su-
good
I'm
in
certain
school
you did.
because I was distracted all the time in school.
But
so
in any event, that was the Boston Tea Party happened, and that was, so we can go way back in time when we start talking about a tyrannical government.
Mhm.
We can look at the American Revolution, and their bullets flew. As we broke away from English rule. But over time, Red, we've seen tyranny really peek its ugly head from time to time,
Yep.
where we really notice it. And we can move ahead in history from the Boston Tea Party and the American Revolution to, like, just say the civil rights movement, and
Oh,
and what
yeah.
happened when they said, we're not going to ride the public bus, and it was a peaceful demonstration where they didn't get on the bike, and this is all around the Rosa Parks era, but where they just refused to ride public transit, and it hit the cities in the pocketbook. So there was a peaceful demonstration, but with monetary effects.
yeah, and I know the one that I noticed, the one I fell for it, was the Patriot Act. When they created the Patriot Act,
We all
And
felt.
I kept saying, I don't see what the problem is. You're not gonna be a terrorist, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. Fast forward to now, and it's like, duh, Jen. Guess
And
I fell for that one.
it continued. They conditioned us, Red, to,
Yep, they did.
they sell these things under the guise of safety
Yep,
or whatever. It's
for
going
the
to make us
greater
safer.
good.
Yeah, for
The
the
greater
greater good.
good.
It's going to make us safe. And what are you so jumpy about?
Nothing. I seen something. It was a fly. I thought it was a spider.
Gosh.
Sorry.
But some of the questions that we want to talk about is Red. So let's give our audience some things to think about.
All right.
As we move forward through the show and talk about some of the tyranny, and are we seeing it today? And that's one of the questions. What forms of tyranny are our listeners seeing right now that impact their lives, and maybe people aren't even aware of it? I want to know that, but I also want to know, what responsibility do we the people actually have when we see that the government is overstepping, and how do we fix it?
My opinion is you speak out about it. And there's a very great example going on right now, and that's um, the elections being stolen. And we have a whistleblower slash watchdog that showed at least one of the ways, and they pressed charges against him instead of fixing it. So therefore, we know that's definitely one way. It's a maybe it's not called government overreach, but um,
Well, certainly
I don't know
judicial.
what you want to call that.
It
But
looks like we've
you
got a
know,
hand raised, Red.
oh, okay.
Let's let Mr. Rampton, the people's governor, chime in here. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you. I got a couple of things I'd like to say to get them off my chest and vent a little bit
Please do.
to
Definitely.
the word tyranny. First of all, I wanted to look it up to see how exactly it was defined. It says unjust or oppressive governmental power, a government in which a single ruler is vested with absolute power, and thirdly, the office, authority, or jurisdiction of an absolute ruler. Now, in the case of day-to-day societal issues, especially around government, it's not just any one person. It's multiple groups and or layers of people. So it's not just a single ruler. But I also want to speak out to the announcement for tonight's event. Um, I really appreciated the text message alerting me of tonight's show. And it's called Tyranny. Tyranny never arrives all at once. It creeps in quietly, one compromise at a time, one freedom surrendered, one voice silenced, one generation taught to comply instead of question. I was taken by those words in those phrases. And when I think about a personal issue that I've struggled with for months, like 8,
Hmm.
do I subject myself to the situation? I'll try to say nice words of offering myself as a servant to the people to run in for office. I struggled with it for months and I still am today. And what tears at me, it tears at me to the core. There's orchestration and scripting going on to manipulate the process even before election day. There's unnatural acts. That's the key here. The unnatural acts affecting a natural process or a process that should be natural, where anyone can submit themselves for consideration to the public for an office to serve. Anyone should be able to do that without being attacked, without being ridiculed, without being threatened. That doesn't happen today.
Absolutely, you're right.
And part of me, part of me wants to basically give them all the middle finger and do it. Just jump in and do it. And
Hmm.
you know what? Let the the chips fall where they may, because I don't care about me. I never cared about me. I care about the people. I care about the quality of governance that's lacking today, not just at the local level or even the state. It seems like it's everywhere. And I don't want to get into a long discussion about why I think that's the case, but to basically be told, no, you really shouldn't do that, Tim, because we've got the situation set up where we've got it singled out for one way. I don't know if it's the flip side of 2022 when there was challenge, there was competition, there was choice, real choice. And well, that didn't work. We had infighting and we had division amongst the people, and look what happened. The Democrat got back in, which was inevitable anyway, most likely.
I
Which
agree
is
with you there.
which is a subjective opinion, but it's still probably quite real. Fast forward to today. There isn't a challenge, a legitimate, real challenge.
Hmm.
And I think what's bad about that is, and if it works, and you know what, I hope it works. Okay, I'm not saying I'm anti GOP here. I'll do a little political comment. I'm not going to be apolitical on that point. However, if it does work, then the learned behavior becomes, well, for certain seats, we got to make sure we have it down to one person. And by the way, who picks that one person? This is where I'm going with my concern. Who picks that one person? And that's the problem, because you don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get told, well, this has got to be this way. Otherwise, it's the hell's going to break loose and the Dems are going to get in. And if you go against this, you're going to help the Dem win. There's a tyrannical intent here, and I don't think the people doing it even know it, and I don't think they see the fact that they're creating a damaging effect to the process in an unnatural way when it should just be natural. At the end of the day, I believe the elections, which have become selections, by the way, but the election process should be anyone can throw in, and your message and your candidacy and your quality, your candidate quality elements, the package you bring to the table, things you do, things you say, how you look, what's your vision, what's your plan, all of that stuff, right? That plays into giving the people, here's what you get if you vote for this person, and then let them vote, and the chips fall where they may, and that's how we move forward as a village, as a city, as a county, as a state, as a country. We let the process naturally happen with those who offer themselves to serve. But
I want to cut you off real
I'll
quick.
stop for a second, but there's one more thing I want to speak to, but go ahead. I'll stop for a
Mine's
second.
just real quick. The last that I checked, the Constitution was written in a way that we, the people, are the ones that are supposed to pick the
Right,
person.
right.
Therefore, that's why we have a primary. That's all I was going to say. Keep
And
going.
Thank you.
and Tim, before you get into your other
There's
comment,
one more quick thing, but go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, the quick thing is simply this. So case in point, I don't know this Thomas Massey, District 4, Kentucky House of Representatives.
Hmm.
He's all I know about him is he's not in my state, so I can't vote for him or anything like that. But he seems to be a stickler for detail. He seems to be asking a lot of questions about things that most people are just saying, "Oh, just let it go, don't worry about it," or the president's got it. And I'm not going to get into a discussion about the president, but apparently he doesn't drink the Kool-Aid real well. So what's going on in the 4th district for Kentucky right now? They're primarying this guy. Now, that's another comment about the tyrannical effects of somebody in control and manipulating who's going to be in what. This is something different. This is after an election. You got somebody in who's going to go serve. I kind of did something very similar in the assembly when I was there for 4 years. I didn't drink Kool-Aid. I didn't kiss butt. I did what I needed to do based on the demand of the people who are the ones who put me there to serve them. And I stepped out of my role. I didn't get voted out or primaried out or whatever. I took my, because I wanted to fix the problem. I wanted to address a solution to the corruption, to the dysfunctional processes. I stepped out to come at it from a different angle. I took myself out. I you shouldn't have to do that for starters. Number one. Number two, if you're going to go and serve and you ask good questions, why doesn't the other side that has a problem with the status quo being maintained say, you know what, that's a good point. We should work to raise the bar and make government better. But no, they don't. They attack the person because they're not a team player or they're not going along to get along. And so those are tyrannical acts too. So I just, my last comment, and I'll shut up, I promise. We, if we expect more from government, but we don't let the people we vote in serve us the way they need to, which is the way we tell them to, then I have to really question the future of our government. I think our processes are in jeopardy. I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And it's all because we allow things to happen. So back to you guys, we the people, when is the point, does silence become surrender? Is that what they want us all to do? Just shut up and go away and don't challenge what they think is what they should do? What does peaceful resistance look like? I don't know. Everything's labeled as violent nowadays. And I think America is becoming too comfortable with government control. And I think that's a problem.
I think they are. And yeah, I want to comment on a couple things that you said, because you talked about learned behavior. And, you know, most of my listeners, Tim, fall on the conservative side of the line. And when we look at the gubernatorial race coming up in Wisconsin, and you look what is probably coming out from the left side, nobody wants to live in the state of Minnesota or
Correct.
Illinois, which is what we're going to get with any of those candidates from the left. But I see dangers on what's happening on the right now, where we have one candidate that they're pushing, and without that choice. And you talked about learned behavior, and should Tom Tiffany win, which is going to be best for my listeners if he wins the general election, but if he were to win, they're going to come back with that every cycle, like you said.
Yep.
And it started with the governor, but then it's going to be congressional races or whatever, where we can't have primaries, because that's how we win elections. And that's what's going to come from that, as much as we don't want a Francesca Hahn as our governor in Wisconsin.
Exactly.
So there are so many dangers there. But I also want to point out, and we're talking about tyranny doesn't have to come from one person, like you said, Tim, like President Trump or whomever. It can come from many different ways, and we've talked about it. And one of the things that you did as a representative, Governor Evers at the time of COVID was really making tyrannical moves with mandates and lockdowns, and you stood up to him with legislation. Now, I don't think you had the support of your colleagues in Madison.
Assembly Joint Resolution 4 was to end the lockdown of our state. Statute 32310 allowed the governor to call an emergency and shut things down for 60 days. But on 61, we should have opened back up again. And I didn't think he was going to do it. So on day 42, I had a resolution ready to go to end it. And in order to be a legislative resolution, you have to have both chambers sign on to it and support it and pass it in chamber. I couldn't get anybody to sign on to it on either side.
And that was a tyrannical move, wasn't it, by our governor? Along with all the other things that were in play. That I remember going in grocery stores, and they had dots on the floor where I was supposed to stand, so that I was 6 feet from the next person in line, or arrows that directed me down an aisle a certain direction, so that I wouldn't come face to face with anybody.
Bringing the focus back to the governmental element, there were 60 days in Statute 32310 that allowed him to do that. And I had to say, okay, all right, he has the right to do that, but he can't go past 60 days without authorization. And he did. And it took me 8 more months to finally get that resolution across the board. It was January of 2021. And then we had some help from the Supreme Court, which basically told people in the legislature to do your job and stop this from happening. So I mean, I was doing stuff to against the status quo and against the learned behavior out of the gate, and I was not liked by members of my own party in my chamber. because I was asking questions that challenged the status quo, just like Mr. Massey is in Kentucky. I think that kind of voice is very, very healthy for the process, especially when you're working for the people in a governance setting. Um, and that doesn't seem to be something that's allowed around here, whether it's county parties or the state party. I mean, for example, they're not going to let anybody speak other than one person at the convention in a couple of weeks. Why is there such obstruction to allowing a natural process to simply happen and let the people see who's offering themselves to run and let the chips fall where they may? I don't. Well, I get it, but I don't get it.
Because that's their pick. They don't get certain amount of money donated to them by a certain amount of people. That's their way of trying to handcuff you. But yet, at the same time, if the person that didn't get those donations within that time period by that X amount of people, then you can't speak. And if you can't speak, nobody knows about you. So therefore, they tie your hands and you can't win
They,
unless you knock on a bunch of more doors or whatever. But if they were to win the primary, the money follows them. So I'm sick and tired of hearing, well, they don't have enough money to run, no matter what race it is. I don't care what race it is. I hear it from all races.
well, it shouldn't be about money anyway.
Exactly. That's my point.
But it is, and comments like who can win and who can't win. But listen, at the end of the day, when you do unnatural acts against a natural process, you're going to cause conflict, and that's what's going on, in my humble opinion. And on that note, I'm going to step out and let some other people. I see some hands are raised up, or at least one hand. I'm going to step out. I got my point out. I want to thank you guys for bringing this topic up, and I just wanted to expand a little bit on the effect of tyranny. It could be happening at local levels and school boards. People aren't allowed to speak. That kind of stuff has to stop. So, what does peaceful resistance look like? I don't know. What point does silence become surrender? It seems like that's the intent of all of this. Push back. Just do what we say and shut up and go away. And boy, if you ruffle our feathers, we're going to come after you. We're never gonna forget what you did to cause disruption to our plan. That kind of stuff just bothers me, guys. That's
It,
not what governance is
and
supposed to
and
be about.
it should bother all of us because isn't that part of the checks and balances that we have in place so that people like Massey or Tim Rampton, when he was a representative, can question the things that are happening to us. It's just beyond my comprehension that we allow this stuff to continue happening.
I will
And
say really quick before we call on Lloyd, over on YouTube, YSICJMLB says Robin Voss comes to mind when I think of tyranny.
oh yeah,
Go ahead.
And Tim knows as well as anybody about the tyrannical moves of one Robin Boss.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
Thank you for your patience, Lloyd. You have the floor.
Thank you, guys. Good show. Tim, I have utmost respect for a person that chooses the career path of political science. The potholes and cliffs that you'll encounter as you progress through your career is commendable to watch you continue to fight. And as I learn about the person of Tim, I want to ask you, how do you think AI intelligence will affect the political science realm in the near future in maybe addressing some of these uh, selections versus elections? And I'd like to hear your comments on what you think AI will do for the political arena.
That's actually a good question. I'd like to know that too.
So Tim,
Well,
you're back on the floor.
yeah. In my opinion, I haven't looked into all of the mechanics of what AI can and will do, but in regards to giving people an impression, using AI to make it look like somebody's doing something they didn't do, or they're in a place they never went to me, that's false advertisement. It's a deflection tactic. It's not real, and so it's going to allow people to I don't know, create an optic for themselves in a seat of governance to look like they're doing something more than that they are. And I think it's going to be more of a deflection tactic. I don't think it'll be a positive help, Lloyd, in my humble opinion. It'd be probably more negative, and the effect of the negative will be on the people because they're going to be misled. That's what I feel about AI in politics.
Do you think possibly that the good side of AI might enhance data analysis to where truth gets a center stage spotlight with a lot of backing because it comes from a respected maybe AI source? I mean, I would think that if we can gather AI to the point where it does a lot of good in a lot of different uh, scenarios, a trust factor should start to develop with AI that could produce analytical data that shows, uh, you know, what a person campaigning for a primary, for example. And I think that would be the best possible place to shoot down these people that don't have the people in mind. They have their own uh, gains in mind. So that's what I was kind of contemplating, that there is a good side. And of course, we always look at the bad side with AI first because that's the propaganda that comes out all the time, how bad it can be.
Quick comment to that. So you could use AI to put a little 30-second video or 60-second video out and try to make a point. You could use it for messaging. That probably would be middle ground for me. But when you use the word truth and AI, I never needed AI for truth, and I don't need AI for truth. If you want truth, put me on a stage with a microphone and you'll get truth. I don't need AI. So that's where I think it can be abused.
That's a good point. Thank you, Lloyd, for your question. We do have to jump into a quick break here because I see the music is on cue and ready to go. And all we're going to talk about, Red, is the most important thing right now, and that's Harry's Army. And the need. As you know, we brought it to everybody's attention a few weeks ago that Harry did file a motion for a new trial. We don't know, or at least I don't know, if that's going to be ruled upon by the judge before or after sentencing, or if they will suspend sentencing while they're waiting for that ruling. But in the meantime, it's important. We have a letter writing campaign. You'll see scrolling along the bottom of the screen the address of Judge Daniel Johnson. We're asking if you to go to Harry's Army. There are some great bulleted points on factual points on Harry's case. Handwrite a letter to the judge and asking for
a chain letter.
Yes, we don't want a chain letter, form letter, ideally handwritten, but a personal letter, short and to the point, and asking for leniency or a new trial.
Correct. And the letters that are being sent in are being put in the record on his case. I looked this afternoon.
Four more were added.
Yep, so there's a total of 6 now. But I know, I don't know if it's like a group of 6 or they're just individuals. I'm assuming it's a group because we do know that there's more than 6 that have been sent.
Right.
But you can find Harry's Army on Facebook, and the bulleted points are pinned to the top
along with the address
and the case number. Don't forget the case number when you write in. You can also find Harry's Army on Twitter or X under Harry's Army 2026, along with Harry's Army on Telegram and on Signal. And you will find the PDF with the bullet points on all of the platforms.
So that's your challenge, folks. Write the letter. They have to be in by the end of May. The sentencing is scheduled for June 2nd. So we want these in the month of May. So now we're a few weeks where we have time to get letters in. So if you belong to a Patriot group or your county GOP or your county Democratic Party, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Have a letter writing
because this affects everybody.
Take 15 minutes during your meeting and say, let's all write a letter to Judge Johnson.
And it does not have to be from just Wisconsin.
No, anywhere in the country. In fact, we encourage it from everywhere in the country.
Exactly.
And beyond the borders of our country. If you're a soldier serving in wherever.
Yep.
send a letter to Judge Johnson because we need to make an impact. And this is one of those cases where Harry Waite was a whistleblower,
And he was,
watchdog, whistleblower, whatever the right word is.
yep,
He exposed a vulnerability in My Vote, which is WEC's website that allows
illegal website.
people to obtain other people's absentee ballots. And the problem has not been corrected, and they want to punish Harry Waite. They want to put him in prison like they did with Tina Peters, and we just can't. This is our opportunity.
This is our tyranny.
To stand up to this kind of tyrannical move by Josh Call in his office, whomever's behind it. And Harry will tell you all the time, civil disobedience is the key. And I think what did he put in the chat, Red? Harry put something in the chat tonight.
Tyranny warrants civil disobedience.
And tonight I'm asking you to be obedient to Screech and Red and write your damn letter and get it to Judge Johnson before the end of May. And
Exactly.
with that, let's continue the conversation because I know we have a lot of comments coming in, Red. If anybody's got their hand or something they want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. Red,
Well, I mean,
help me fill my space here as I'm trying to get my
well,
notes.
I did see, Catherine said, I would like to see an episode to discuss where could we make an impact or changes in our state and which of those might be the best place to start the ball rolling. I was looking up that, what have people done in the past? Peaceful protests and marches, civil disobedience, which is refusing to comply with certain laws. And that's the one that Harry is discussing all the time, is civil disobedience. And another example of that would be the COVID lockdowns, wear your mask in the store. You know what? No, I'm not going to wear that mask because it's going to make me sick.
And admittedly, Red, when we think back to COVID, like in the beginning, many of us fell for it.
Mm-hmm.
You and I included,
Yep.
in the initial stages because it was a complete unknown. And
we were just starting to wake up.
We turned on our TV and we saw the death count raising every single day. I mean, it was like watching the results of Wall Street every day, with the Dow Jones up or down and the death toll up and down, or never down, up.
Right.
And they scared the living bejeebers out of us,
Yep.
all of us.
And that went until I personally found an article from Dr. Fauci during, it was a paper he wrote about the Spanish flu. And it stated in there specifically wearing masks was worse because that was what was killing people because of the bacteria that was in the masks. And then Dr. Fauci fast forward to COVID and wants you to wear 3 masks.
But Red, do you think, I mean, many of us, I think, learned something from COVID. And we learned something from the Patriot Act. But then what happened this week? They let us know that automobiles made after 2027 have to have this interlock system installed that the government has the ability to shut down your automobile. And now they're selling it to us under the guise of, DUIs and making the road safer.
And that's when they say it's for the better good.
But at what point does it switch over? And we've heard the crap, and I know this is more of a tin hatty kind of a subject, but we've heard the things about social credit scores.
Yep.
And at what point does my voicing my displeasure with the government or whatever it might be, or any one of us, at what point now does that lower my social credit score to the point where they don't feel I should be traveling to
That's
Wisconsin Rapids for an event and they
think
lock me out
about
of my
this.
car?
All of those new townhouses and little apartment buildings and stuff going up. What the heck do you guys think it's for? And then fast forward and you hear about this thing with the cars. It's for the 15-minute cities. And I don't care if it's a tin hat topic or not. It's the truth. They'll shut your car off
and yet
because you went outside the boundaries.
There again, how many people are going to comply and go out and buy the 2027, the brand new car with those fancy little interlocks that allows the government to shut them down? And I think at this point, we ought to boycott them and say,
Yep.
Hell with you. We're
I
not
ain't gonna
buying.
buy any new
We're not buying
cars.
any new cars off your lots until you remove that garbage. We
Exactly.
got another hand up, Red. Go ahead, flippin', rippin', Rob.
Rob, there you
Oh,
go.
I was going to say that Fauci actually did a thesis on the Black Plague,
Yep,
and
I mentioned that.
what you said, yeah, it's his. That was his findings back then. And then I was also going to say, as far as tyranny, video that I sent, it's like 2 minutes. It's regarding surveillance. It was a city council meeting, and the flock devices, and then using drones for surveillance on its city.
And you sent that, and we'll try and play that maybe tomorrow night, just as a follow up. There's no
Yeah.
way I can plug it into this into the system
Yep.
that rapidly. But that video is about surveillance. Rob, is that what you said?
Yes, it had something to do with the flock devices or cameras that are going up that would work in conjunction with drones, and drones going up and surveilling everything.
Well, and that's just for me. So what do you think about surveillance? What do you think, Rob, about the communities that have the cameras that will document every license plate and can identify drivers driving down the road? I mean, are you comfortable with that kind of thing in our cities and somebody watching every move that you make?
It already happens.
I know it does,
We
but
can
I
go
mean,
to we can go into a grocery store, we're under CCTV. We could go into someone's business, same thing, someone's front porch. It already is a thing already. It
it
has been.
it
As
absolutely
far as
it
as
absolutely is,
far as
but
cameras, as far as surveillance on public streets and highways, they're already on 41. It gives the highway report, it gives the weather conditions. It's very beneficial. And if there's somebody that is wanted, then this is another aid to help law enforcement. I
and I
think a lot of people that are against it are the ones that are probably doing something wrong, or they feel it's too much overreach of the government, but it's already here. Now,
it is
them taking a step further is one more step, like you said at the beginning of the show, of where does it stop for the tyranny?
well, and if everything they do were done for the good reasons, if they were doing it to identify drunk drivers so that it would make the road safer, or if they were apprehending people who are trafficking other humans. I mean, if it were all done for good reasons, I think all of us would support those things. But at what point do they cross a line where now it's used for something different? Because now it's, and maybe this is a far fetched idea, but what about the day that it comes when I'm not allowed to travel beyond a certain distance from my home, and now with interlocks on vehicles, now
Where do you draw the line?
yeah, I mean, and at what point who crosses that line? I mean, maybe President Trump has no intentions of ever implementing that, but President Trump won't be with us forever.
Exactly. And
And
there's another great example. You don't really need the cameras. You looked it up the other day, which I knew about it, but um, you looked up on your phone. When we plug into that GPS where we're going, you don't even need to use the GPS. You really don't. And Scott looked back. I don't remember how far you looked back, but it showed exact
for,
routes of where we've been and what stops we made and where.
and how long we were there.
Exactly. So all you have to do is look at your phone history. As soon as you put that phone in your car, they know exactly where you're at.
I looked back 3 months, Red,
Yep.
and I was able to tell every stop we made. It told me names of stores we were at. It told me people's homes we were at, or the address of the homes we were at, and how long we were there. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And we're probably, well, no, I guess we're not getting too far off subject, but uh,
Absolutely not. Because to me, you can turn off your location tracker, but
can you?
yeah, well, allegedly, Let's put it that way. Allegedly, you can. But the moment you try to use an app or say, hey, I want to look and see a restaurant that's near me. As soon as you say, yeah, go ahead, use my location so you can find that restaurant near you, you just turned it back on for them to find you again anyway.
We're gonna do a little test, Red, to find out if they're actually tracking where I go, because I'm gonna start leaving my phone at home, and they're gonna wonder if my head is on a pot on the stove,
Oh, geez.
because I haven't left the house in a month or two. And Corey says, whatever happens next, do not comply, and I have to echo that.
I agree.
I think we've learned a little bit, at least many of us have, from when COVID hit, and the comply goes a lot way beyond illnesses. But we've got a cruise ship somewhere; it's anchored somewhere offshore where they're not letting anybody off the cruise ship now because of some illness that is on the cruise ship, and these people have been locked on this cruise for days now beyond their cruise, and they don't know when they're getting off.
Right.
But I'm with Corey. Don't comply. Whether it's you have to start wearing masks,
Nope, don't need again.
or you can't go beyond 15 miles from home,
Watch me.
or you can't buy any more beef this month.
Watch me. I know how to hunt.
And
I don't need beef. I can go hunt.
I'm going to tell you, Lisa from backstage sent us a video. It's a 15-minute video, and I didn't. I was distracted because I had to attend another meeting before our show.
We were in the middle of listening.
I did have an earbud in, and I was listening to it. And now I'm getting way off subject, but we were talking about. She was talking about beef and the fact that there's four beef processing plants basically that provide all the beef, and they control 85% of the beef, and the numbers are dwindling. The number of herds that we have, so bad things are coming.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hopeful President Trump fixes a lot of it, and I know, but he's coming under attack, and maybe we'll talk about this in another episode. Read that video that Lisa sent, because it's very interesting, and it was talking about Canada and the Soros, and it was pretty amazing. And
yeah, and unfortunately I stopped listening
and
because
how
of the meeting.
President Trump is coming under attack from beyond the borders for what he's trying to do with oil and beef and food.
Luckily we got part of a cow not long ago, so
Yeah,
but no, I know how to hunt. I've done it before, and I'll do it again if I have to.
No, I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments. Catherine says there's a WEC meeting tomorrow, and strangely, you could be there in person, actually addressing some complaints and going into a closed session about lawsuits.
Well, and before that, a petition, this is from Harry,
Oh, okay.
a petition to WEC was filed by J. Stone, Hot Government, to require multi-factor sign-in for Secure My Vote. Read the complaint and write to WEC in support of the multi-factor sign-in. And I agree 100%. They need to.
So there we go. There's the perfect case of Jay Stone and hot governments becoming known for doing what they're doing, standing up to things like WEC and My Vote, and Jay Stone filed another lawsuit, and maybe that's a step forward in this path to fixing our elections, because they need fixing. And
they definitely need fixing. When you can order a made-up military ballot, because you don't need to register before you request that ballot, let alone request anybody else's ballot. All you need is a name and a birth date, and we proved that in our last show. No, we need username and password. And like Corey always says, if you want to order Starbucks and use your app, you need a username and password. If you have to have it for that, then you should have it for the most precious thing that we have a right to do, and that is to vote.
Absolutely, and this is another thing, and this is where we have to stand up, and it's why I respect Harry Waite for what he did so much. He put
Exactly.
it all on the line to stand up to a system that's broken.
Exactly.
And
And that's why we will not stop fighting
and
for
so
him.
many people in the backstage, and there are a lot of people in the backstage, in one way or another. All of these people, Red, we know them personally,
Mm-hmm.
and have done one thing or another to stand up to some form of tyranny, or whatever level. It might be at the local level.
Yep.
It might be the things that Tim talked about. But these are all, I mean, I applaud everybody who stands up to it, and had a brain lapse there, Red, as I'm, we
You were
got too many
looking.
things. See, now AJ added YouTube, and we got to keep an eye on
I know. I
YouTube
was
and
just
Rumble,
going
and
over there to look.
I don't know how he does it alone. I've got you as my secretary here, my co-host,
I don't know how
And
good
we-
of a
and-
secretary
and
I
we
am,
keep-
obviously.
and we can't keep up.
Let's see. I never fell for COVID. I knew right away it was biological warfare. I never wore a mask other than when I flew to Florida, and then I didn't even keep it on the plane. I continuously ate something. There you go. You know that one, the videos that came out at that time of wearing a mask in a restaurant, and all of a sudden it would open up so you could take a bite, and then it would close again while you chew. I'm thinking, what? The germs ain't gonna get in when it opens? Are you guys idiots? Or that plexiglass? What? It's not. The germs aren't gonna go around that plexiglass. All of a sudden they see the plexiglass and it's a stop sign or something. Come on.
That may have been one of the most tyrannical moves that in recent history.
Yes.
You know, it was more glaring than some of the other stuff we're seeing. But Tim brought up, I think, the point of the night, in
Yep.
my opinion, what's happening in Wisconsin. And beyond the borders of Wisconsin, I don't know how elections are being handled in other states. I'm sure some states are encountering many of the same problems that we are with the selection over election.
Mm-hmm.
But
And we seen in, like, say, the spring primary, not as many people got out there to vote. Well, at the same time, and I can't prove this, I don't know everybody that had sat home and wanted to vote but didn't. But I have to question, is it because they feel like they didn't have a choice anyway, so why bother? And I hope that's not the reason, because no matter how much I feel like that, we still have to get our voices heard somehow, and that would be to vote.
well, I think the point that bothers me the most, Red, as we're just about winding up this show, and now I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent.
Wait, one more thing. Corey also brought this up earlier, and I was going to read it and I forgot. The vaccines, the mandates. You either get the jab or you don't have a job. And I remember you coming home and telling me, I hope you don't get mad at me, but if they start requiring it, I'm not going to do it. And I'll probably lose my job. I said, well, you know what? I think you have two choices. You get it and or you don't get it, you lose your job, or you get it and you get kicked out of the house. Take your pick. In other words, I don't care. You ain't going to take it. There's other jobs.
But a lot of people were pushed into it, and they weren't willing to risk losing the toys. And I can think back to my time when I was in the paper industry, and the guys all had, the four-wheelers and the boats and the cottages and the,
Snowmobiles,
all the toys,
motorcycles.
and they didn't want to lose those things. And so it was more important that they get the vaccine. And some people did it for other reasons, but we know Karen Mueller very well. She's one of
Mhm.
3 attorneys in the country who's really pushing back against things that we're seeing now and that we're continuing to see. And
Well, absolutely. And one more point that Corey made is vaccine mandates for the kids to go to school. And look what's happening to our kids now. And I'm also finding out recently that even if you chose not to get that poke, I say poke because that's what somebody else said. There is such a thing called shedding, and that is affecting two of our very, very dear friends right now because they did not take the jab. But they have a lot of those ill effects because of the shedding.
And think about it, Red. 4 years ago, when Karen Mueller was running for Attorney General, and we got to know Karen, and Karen was making these, she was talking about this at
Yep,
that time,
yep.
the things that we could expect down the road, and we're still faced with those things. And unfortunately, how many legislators are talking about holding anybody accountable
Not
for the crap that happened?
one.
Not a single one
Not
of them.
one.
Not a single one of them, other than
Well,
well,
wait. I take that back. There is one. Scott Herbridge. He's not a legislator, but he is running.
well,
He is a candidate.
and we know some people who would. Kim Rampton is one of them that would.
Absolutely.
And we've got at obviously Bobby Kennedy is doing his part, or
What did he say just recently? They told us just a couple hours ago when they stopped by. I didn't write it down. Shoot.
boy, our memory's good, wasn't it?
Well, we were trying to get in for the other meeting that we had, and then we wanted to listen to the video that our friend Lisa sent, and
So there was some. Not, we don't. Now this is going
my
to sound
mind
like a
went
real. This is
anywhere,
going to sound like a
everywhere.
real teaser, but apparently Bobby Kennedy came out with something that wasn't covered by the media,
Mhm.
and it was more of a statement that was released.
Oh, I know what it was. Chemtrails.
Oh yeah, that was chemtrails, which we're going to talk about tomorrow night, because
Yes,
there's
we're going
been
to
some
talk about chemtrails.
funky painting in the skies over Manitowoc the last week
Well,
that I've got some
across
good pictures
Wisconsin, but yeah.
of.
And I know I talked to somebody down in Florida, and even though Florida allegedly made that law where you can't have chemtrails, the lady I talked to in Florida sees them all the time flying over still. So
Right.
we'll
Well,
get
we'll
into
talk.
that
Yes,
tomorrow.
that's tomorrow. My rant was going. Now I forget. You see, you disturbed me from my rant because I wanted to go on a 3-minute rant.
Nah, that's okay. Keeter says that he got let go from his job because he refused to take the poke. And I have to say, bravo, good job.
Good for you, Keeter.
I'm not for people losing their jobs, but I'm glad that you see people stand up because, all those little toys that you're talking about, what do they matter when you get that poke and you're laying there on the ground dead? Those toys don't mean crap.
No, and look at we know someone else who lost her job because of refusing. I'm talking about Ruth without mentioning her last name, but she left the.
That was because she wasn't going to get tested.
She was a registered nurse who refused to be tested weekly,
Mhm.
and she lost her job because of it. And now, 4 years later, what is Ruth doing? She's back working in a medical setting
Yep.
without the requirement of having to be jabbed,
Correct.
without
Or testing.
So she lost her job, but she's back in the field that she was trained to do and very good at.
And she did run against our state senator that particular year too, because he refused to stand up for us.
But in any event, Red, I think a couple takes from tonight. Civil disobedience. Harry talks about civil disobedience all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think in a lot of cases it's time to maybe raise the level of our civil disobedience. And Corey pointed out, whatever happens next, don't comply.
Right.
And that's the key, folks. We have to be aware of what's happening. We can't be conditioned into believing that whatever they tell us is what we're supposed to be doing or how we're supposed to be reacting. We have to just be willing to stand up to people, and when we see something wrong, maybe we have to take the risk that Harry Waite took.
Well, I'm going to read real quick the rest of this. We the people, ways to push back. Economic pressure, boycott, legal challenges, taken to court, file a lawsuit.
Jay Stone, hot government all the time.
Exactly. Amen. Free speech and media. Get pamphlets out there. Social media. I know they shadow ban us, But tag everybody under God's green earth when you post stuff like that. Email them. Get it to the people. Whistleblowing and leaks. There you go. Harry Wait. Organizing at the local and community level. Get groups around. That's how we met. That's how we met Mr. Tim Rantham to begin with.
It's how we met AJ the Ribbon Rabbit, who supplies this platform so that you and I can get mumble and jumble our way through an episode of We the People Wednesday.
Yep. And technically one of the other ways is voting and elections, but that one I personally do not trust right now. So,
but we have to continue fighting to fix elections, because when elections are fixed, term limits automatically come into play, because when people don't do their jobs, we can unelect them.
Exactly.
So we have to fix elections. We have to find a way. We have to fight harder and stronger and better than them to fix elections. We just have to get it fixed.
Exactly.
And then we have
that's, I personally think, where all of it starts.
And then we have to change the mindset of these monkeys at the top who want to tell us that we can't have primaries. We got to change that mindset, folks, because we the people should be deciding who moves on to the general election, and at that time we decide between one of two candidates who the better one is. And let's shut out the outside noise, all the crap we get from oh, my music's getting loud. We're out of time. Let's fix elections, folks. Stand up, do not comply, and let's have some civil disobedience. Thank you for joining us on We the People Wednesday. We are going to stop wasting your time because
we have a republic to save.
Have a good night, folks.
Have a good night.